Ladies and gentlemen, today is September 10th, 2014, and this is the KNKL Show, episode 195, where we learn to be better artists. I'm your host, Keenan Lafferty, and today we are going to be doing another step-by-step tutorial with a painting that I finished about 5 minutes ago, and that is the lovely ZAPP. ZAPP. Who is that? ZAPP is actually the mascot of an upcoming convention in Fresno, California, where I have been invited to be a part of a League of Legends panel. And the awesome people down there said it would be nice if I drew their mascot for them. So this is ZAPP from ZappCon of Fresno. And I'm going to be talking about my process going into that. But before we get into that, we have to take a stroll down one of my favorite places in the world. Oh, I love it. Lovely Lane, Facebook. Thank you guys so much for joining me on Facebook, submitting your awesome art. This makes my day every time. I need to go through and like every single one of these. I did take a look at them already, but I freaking love them. So thank you everyone who has been doing that. For those of you who have not joined us on Facebook yet, please consider clicking the link in the bottom left corner, or if you're watching on YouTube, there's a link in the description where you can... Hey, wait a minute. I know where this is from. I know where this is from. This is actually from an awesome person who came by, Sudi, came by and gave me this beautiful painting of Candy Lulu at Salt Lake Comic Con. We just got done with that one. So that was an awesome experience. Just wanted to give a quick shout out to her. Okay, but anyway, continuing up the lovely lane. Yeah, click the link. And yeah, if you give me cool pictures of the ones that you drew me at the con, or at a con where you meet me in person, I'll be sure to put it on my wall. But I got a bunch of prints that I still need to get to. So, but rest assured, it will be up there. All right. With all that out of the way, let's go ahead and get into the tutorial, or rather time-lapse tutorial. So we're going to be doing this the same as we have done in the past. Can I pause? Oh, great. I can pause and play with the space bar. That is going to be oh so dandy. And I accidentally did record this in a little bit faster time than I had hoped. So it is going to look a little choppy. That's because I've slowed down the actual video. Okay, so the first thing I want to talk about is this right over here. And you guys have seen me do this many, many times. This is how I start out all of my drawings, whether I'm working professionally or just having fun making the comic. I always start out with warm-up sketches, with just doodling and just trying to figure out who this character is. Because I had a couple, I basically had this to work with. This was my reference here. So I wanted to take this character and capture what it was. What was the character of it, the actual, the flavor of the character. And bring that over into my style, and yeah, just make it my own thing. So continuing, that's basically what I was trying to do. I always like to experiment and find faces. Like this face I liked at the beginning, but I ended up going with a different one. But I really like to experiment and come up with my own faces, unique faces for each character that I draw. So that way you don't end up with a Barbie doll effect, where all the faces are just the same. It's one manufactured head, and you pull it off and like jam it onto another body. And that is what we don't like. So avoid the Barbie doll effect, and you will live long and prosper in the land. All right, so another thing that I tell you guys not to do is don't draw poses and bodies off of heads. So like I liked this pose and like this direction that she was like looking at us, but I knew that I had to come up with a pose. So you can see me once again working very, very loosely with shapes, not with sticks. Do not build with sticks. We understand what happens when the little pig built his house with sticks. It's easily blown over. So don't build your house with sticks. Build it with shapes. Build it with geometric shapes, almost like mortar, like adobe, like brick. Build your house out of adobe. Okay, so one thing that just happened there was I took a break. I took a break because I was kind of having some trouble. And one thing that always helps me, and I would really like to encourage you guys to do this, is that if you ever feel like you're getting stuck by the dreaded art block, right? You know how I feel about art block. I really feel it doesn't exist. But if you feel that you are struggling with your drawing, it's probably because you just need to take a little break. You need to take a break. And one of the things that I find that really helps is to actually just go to my sketchbook. Walk away from my computer, stop absorbing the radio waves that is being emitted by the CPU and graphics card and all the processors, right? Instead of those entering my brain, walk away for a second, go into the kitchen, get a little snack, pull open my sketchbook and I start sketching things. And what I've noticed that when you go from digital to physical media, when you jump back and forth, your brain almost like switches gears. And the biggest thing that I've noticed that the sketchbook, physical media, comes in handy with is designing shapes, coming up with flow, and just figuring things out. That's what it's really worked well for me with. And I would really highly suggest that you guys try it out for yourselves. So I got to this point and I sort of designed, I was looking at this, right? And I was trying to design a new costume. Basically just take what I liked about it and then make it my own. And I was able to do that once I moved over to my good old sketchbook. And I love working in the sketchbook. I know I say I love digital, but lately I've been going back to drawing with pencil, and I swear that nothing will ever be able to top pencil and paper in terms of just precision and coming up with shapes and just figuring things out. So once I had that, I scanned it back in, brought it into Photoshop, and now I knew what the design of my character was going to be. So now what we're doing is messing around with the thumbnails, right? See how simple this thumbnail is down in the bottom left? I'm basically taking this relationship, this composition over here, and now I'm bringing it up here and I'm beginning to refine it, sort of like an intermediate thumbnail. So you start off with just a super simple sketch, then you move up to here, and now we're starting to hash out, okay, where is the hand gonna go? Where is, how's the face and the neck gonna be positioned? And I originally thought of it being kind of like this, where it's like one hand is really close to the camera, and then it's kind of back, and then you can see another hand like maybe back here, and she's doing one of those things. But the problem that I immediately saw with that was that ZAPP's hair is in such a way that it could be misconstrued with, like if you don't see her body, to be honest, and with all the Final Fantasy and stuff going on today, she looks pretty androgynous. So I wanted to move around her arms basically so we could see her sexy body, right? And I just like drawing sexy ladies. So maybe that was my excuse. But I kept going with it, and I got this, right? And I don't know, maybe it's just that I draw my females like kind of androgynous. They always look kind of like guys. But I was drawing this, and it was pretty good, but it just wasn't satisfying. It wasn't satisfying the other part of it, because I don't know what ZAPP's personality is, but she seems like she's obviously a woman of power, right? But we need to make sure that we can actually see that she's a woman and not just a muscly androgynous dude with lipstick on. So I decided to try a thing, right? Took a break, and then I tried a thing. Came back and I moved her arm down, right? So now we can see the chest properly. But very quickly I noticed that this is going to present another problem to us. And that is the dreaded silhouette. Oh no, what is that? What is that? Okay, well, let me tell you what it is. The silhouette, basically, I mean, you guys know what a silhouette is. But whenever you do this with an arm, where you put it in front of the body, if you were to just look at the outline of that, you wouldn't really exactly be able to tell what's happening with that character. And in a comic book pose like this, it's just going to heighten and clarify, and it just makes everything better to have a clear silhouette with arms on the outside, and yeah, just basically like both arms on the outside, as opposed to one of these things where it's like I'm reaching at you, and see how like my hand and everything is still within my outer shape. It's not as powerful as like just moving it out a bit or turning the character. So that's what I decided to do. So, and the other thing that I want you guys to understand or just notice as I'm working with this is all of the different things that we went through that we didn't end up using. Just sketches that we just threw away, sketches that we just got rid of. Were completely, like, you could say that they weren't useful, they were bad sketches, or that I might as well not have done them. But I want you to understand that all of those things put together has brought us to where we currently stand. And that is one thing that I think a lot of people struggle with. They feel like their first sketch, they feel like their first drawings always have to be the final product. They feel like they always have to go through to the very end. They feel if they draw something and then it doesn't work, that they've wasted a bunch of time, or that they suck, or that they're getting art block, or their skills are going away. You know, don't believe any of that. Just allow your skills to naturally come out. And I say this all the time, using the force of the artist. Let your skills naturally show themselves, and you will get to where you want to go. But you got to be okay with making sketches that you're probably not going to use, as I have made many. All right. So, but now that we're moving into something that I really like, oh, you can see right there, I had a couple photos that I actually took of myself. I really like to take photos of myself whenever I'm working with hands. It just really comes in handy. And if you have a webcam or like a mirror close by, it really helps out a lot to just reference your own hand or take a picture of it. Because subtleties are very, very important when it comes to faces, hands, all that good stuff. Faces and hands, I feel, are the most important things to get right. Because if you get them wrong, they just, like, your whole drawing will be compromised. But you can have a really good looking face and really nice hands, and then the body can be a little twerked, a little bit, little messed up, and you'll still be okay. So, yes. So now we are just going into something called refinement. Refinement and sculpting of the lines. And you guys have seen me do this many, many times. This is my personal process. I urge you guys to try it out for yourselves. If you like the results that it gets, you might get the same results as well. But I don't draw over, and I don't do a sketch and then draw another thing on top of another layer, right? I don't do another layer and then another layer. The only time I do that is when I'm working with the comic, because I need to have those super, super clean final lines. But here, I'm opting for a bit more of a painted look, as you can see here. See how everything is still very painterly looking. You can see a lot of the strokes. You can see some texture in there, some good old texture. And that is what we like. So let's go ahead and continue with the time lapse, and we'll come back to this. Take a look at some details. The details. All right, so the background time. So I knew right off that I was just going to do a simple sort of starburst, electric burst, since her name is ZAPP. I don't know if she actually has electric powers. I didn't want to like put electricity around her hands because I didn't know if that was what she did, or just playing it safe. Just playing it safe. Going off of this, right? There's a lightning bolt in the back. Let's do the same thing, except a little different. Just like every good picture. Just copy somebody else and then change it a little bit. All right, anyway. So now I'm going into something that I've taught you guys about cleaning up the edges. Cleaning up the edges of your drawing, because we are about to create the character mask. We're about to create the character mask. It's actually very, very simple. All you have to do is clean up the outer lines. Make sure the outer edges, your silhouette, is nice and clean, because then you're going to select everything around the character. Select everything with your magical wand, with your magical fairy wand. You are going to tap the outside of the character, right? And then you're going to Shift-Control-I to implode the mask, and then you basically have your character selected. And I've shown you guys how to do that before, but it's very, very simple. I'll just say it one more time. Just take your magic wand, right? Click on every outside shape of the character, then hit Shift-Control-I, and then fill it. And then basically it makes your character mask. So you don't have to manual mask anything anymore, because manual masking is not good. Is not good. All right, and there was my note that speeds by really quickly. Invert and you have your mask. Yay! Okay, so moving on. Once you have your character mask, I really like to go over here, and now I just create masks over top of that and clipping mask them down to the original one. And what this does is it makes it so that way I can't paint outside of the lines anymore. And the way you create a clipping mask is just create a new layer over top of that good old character mask, and then you hold Alt and click right between them. And that'll make a clipping mask. It's really, really cool, really handy. Try it out for yourself. So now I'm just laying in base colors. And another reason why I like to do this sort of style is because you'll notice a lot of my values, like see the shading of the suit, has already been done in the line art. The line art has already taken care of a lot of our values. So now all we have to worry about is slight changes, like little gradients going on inside of the, like the skin, the suit, and all that stuff. So it makes it really, really easy. I really like that. So basically it's like an animation cell. I've said this many times. Put the lines in front, colors behind, color it up, do a little gradient, and then you're gonna start going to overpainting. That's what we're moving into right now. Okay. Oh, but first we need to color the lines. Coloring the lines is very, very easy. All you have to do is click your line layer, then you hit this magical button right here, the magical little checkerboard button. And that makes it so that way, basically now you can color your lines. You don't have to worry about going outside of the lines. And I just take a soft brush and I go through, and you'll notice I'm taking all of my values that I've laid in before and I'm basically coloring them. So the most important thing to do is, I feel, always make your lines with the skin, like skin lines, always push them towards red. It's going to give you a little bit of that subsurface scattering effect, and it's going to make your skin look a lot more alive and less muddy, less dead. You can see the difference between that. Like, see how all those gray shadows and everything, it looks really like not good. And then when you kick it up to red, see, now it has a lot more life to it. So do that. Do that. Okay, so now we're moving into the OP time. We are becoming overpowered, and we're going to begin painting over top of everything. See right here, OP layer. We're above the lines, we're above the color, we're above everything. And what you're going to notice very quickly is that this is a common mistake that I make a lot, is where I start painting the face and I immediately start try to sculpt it. I try to like change the face too much. I try to make too much sense of it. And basically that got me to a face that I didn't like. It got me to this face. And I felt like it didn't capture the same feeling as it did before I overpainted it. So I went back and I said, all right, well, I'm going to go again. I'm going to go again. And so that's basically what I do here. So I go back in and I give it another shot. I think it was mostly something with the nose that I did. And I lost a little bit of character in the eyes. Actually, I don't even know if I did it yet. Maybe it's... Is it here? Oh, yeah. Oh, okay, I haven't even started over yet. Okay, so I'm still trying to figure it out. I lay in some hair, do some nice things here, right? But then I realized that that face is not the same. It's not the same. It doesn't have the same look. It doesn't have those subtleties. So I decided to go back to this, and I go again. And this time, most of the time, the solution is not that I have to do more work. It's that I have to do less. I have to do less overpainting. It mostly has to do with just like cleaning up shapes because the colors are already there. The colors are already there, and I'm just kind of eyedropping them, bringing them in, smoothing some gradients out. But for the most part, I'm just cleaning up what is already there instead of like adding to it, instead of painting the face all over again. Because that just doesn't make sense. If it'll look good before you painted over it, then you shouldn't have to do that much to make it look nice. So I'm always, you can see the layers like flickering. That's me checking back behind the OP layer to make sure that the same character is coming through. Alrighty, because you don't want to lose your character, do you? You don't want to lose it. Alright, so we're moving into the last final bits here. Last final bits. Working with the nose, making sure everything looks good. And then I'm going to do a little thing with the background. I'm going to basically make it glow. I've shown you guys how to do this before, but I will explain it. Basically, it's kind of like doing that trick again. The whole character mask trick. And if you guys want to see me do it, like I guess a little bit slower, more real time, I'll have you guys look back at my Joseph time lapse. I think if you just search Joseph in my videos, it'll bring up a piece where I did something similar to this. But see how I made it look kind of like a little more glowy than here? Like, see how all the lines are really, really sharp, and here they glow a little bit? I might actually just show you guys how to do that real time again, because it's freaking awesome. All right, sure, why not? Okay, so this is the final piece here. Everything's done. OP's looking good. I'm gonna show you guys real time how to do this little glowy background trick, okay? Because it's really, really easy and quite a bit of fun. All right, so the first thing that you're gonna do is, remember how we created the character mask? Do you remember how we did that? You should have, basically, if you take away, or I'll just duplicate this so I can show you. Okay, so our character mask, I flattened all of the colors and the entire character onto one layer now. So if we darken it down, you can see we have this character here. Now, a really cool trick to select whatever is on this layer, in this case it's our character, right? It's our silhouette. If you control click this right here, it will select everything that's on that layer. It will select everything, and now we have a perfect cutout of our silhouette. Now check this out. If we do Shift Control I, now we have everything outside of the character. Can you guess what we're gonna do next? We're gonna go to the background right here. and we're going to hit we're going to hit Control J, which is basically duplicate the layer. But because we have this selected, it is only going to duplicate the layer where, it's only going to duplicate the layer outside of the character. Okay, let me see if there's a way I can show you this. Okay, so check it out. So here is basically what we've selected. We've selected everything outside of the character. Now what we're going to do is we're going to put our character there. We're going to take that duplicated background. We're going to bring it right on up, put it in front of our character. How about that, huh? So you can see if I move this around, you can see it's actually in front of the character. Now I'm going to go to Filter up top, and then I'm going to go to Blur. And then I'm going to do Gaussian blur, or Gaussian blur, however you say it. And then check it out. Now you can set up how much you want your background to bloom around your character. I found that subtlety, again, works best here. You don't want to go like much higher than about maybe 10 pixels. That looks good. Okay? And then what I actually did was I set it to hard light. When you set something to hard light, it's going to make the colors look a lot more vibrant. Then I kind of lowered the opacity on it a little bit, probably down to like 75. And there you go. See, now it softens the edges of all your lines. It creates a little bit of a bloom effect behind your character. So I urge you guys to give that a shot if you have one of those situations where your character is in the front and it's being silhouetted by a bright light from behind. Alrighty then, people. We're gonna. Oh, did you see that? That was crazy. Like my face, like I turned from a beautiful woman into a hairy man with 5 o'clock shadow. But anyway, thank you guys for joining me. I almost said live. Thank you for joining me on YouTube for another tutorial. Please thumbs up if you like it, thumbs down if you don't. My name is KNKL Show. You guys take care of yourselves. Until next time, you guys take care.